Sky News reporting this. Russian drones entering Polish airspace. We have some of these images. Now, I think the thing that's disconcerting for me is that Ukraine, they're the ones who are confirming this. And they have been desperate to force NATO into the conflict since it started. We have the Germany issuing the arrest warrant for the Ukrainian nationals who bombed the Nord Stream pipeline. And of course, that was then blamed on Russia. Ukraine has consistently made efforts to force NATO into direct war with Russia. So that's my fear. While I certainly could believe Russia would make a move like this, I'm also concerned Ukraine might do some dirty, nefarious, underhanded war tactics to try and force us into the fight.
Again, we're still trying to confirm this. I've reached out to a number of contacts that I have throughout government, let's just say, and I've not been able to get anyone to confirm anything as of right now. Also, I haven't been able to get anyone to deny it, to say that it's affirmatively not true. So what seems to be the most true at this point, that the NATO response is they're clearly responding to the reports. However, the veracity of the reports, I think, is still up for confirmation. And, Tim, to your point, it would be a very, very strange situation if Russia were to choose this moment to attack NATO, when they have been very careful not to up until this moment. Obviously serves no ground advantage for them. It doesn't serve their strategy to pick a fight with NATO right now. So, of course, all remains to be seen. Are we looking at, potential just false reporting? Are we looking at a potential where there were drones that perhaps were pushed off course or went off course? All remains to be seen.
The scary thing is it could be accidental, like you said, pushed off course, maybe intentionally, accidentally, but
There's technology that can do that.
Of course. But back in the early days of the consumer grade drones, it was extremely easy to seize control of these.
Oh yeah, that was
Really?
like a whole
Is that
thing.
right?
When you would have they used to call it, like, it was part of the drone wars, that you would try to steal someone's radio signal.
Me and my buddies,
Yeah.
my friend would launch a drone, I'd be like, I'm taking it.
Yeah.
It was very, very, very easy to do.
But you
And-
just hack into it or whatever?
Hack is a very strong
You would
word for
override
literally.
the signal.
Oh.
Yeah, and I wouldn't call it hacking. I would call it turning on yours. That's how easy it was.
Okay.
Well, it's all about strength. So, the closer the signal is, the stronger, the more power you aim at it. It just brushes the other guy out of the way, and then all of a sudden, you're the one in control of that.
And you can mess up its GPS and then cause it to land very easily. So, my buddy could launch his drone and I could land it and he'd be like, son of a, and it would be, far away. Now, this is me and my friends doing research intentionally. So this was not like us doing it to anybody else's.
Right.
But I will just stress, one of the problems we have in the United States, what really bothers me, is that people fly drones on other people's property. You can't do that.
yeah.
But you as the property also can't do anything about it, which is messed up.
Why can't you do anything about it if it's your property? You can't shoot it down because of the FAA, right?
Because you can't shoot guns into the air.
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Like a thing.
Yeah.
Not only that, but it is illegal to shoot aircraft.
Right.
And these are aircraft. So my concern is, do we trust Ukraine if it really did happen?
I'm going to say stay frosty. I always say this. Anything that comes out of the war zone, that gray zone of warfare, initial reports are always, different from what ends up coming out. So stay frosty.
Yeah,
Stay
wait to see what Poland says.
Well,
right?
we do.
Wait till other NATO countries.
I'm actually reaching out to people in Poland right now.
We do actually have an update from Poland itself. They have issued another notice to airmen issued for Eastern Poland by the Polish Civil Aviation Authority about 15-20 minutes ago, this time for the Lublin airport. Jack, do you know where Lublin, Poland is?
My family is very close to Lublin.
Gotcha. Well, perfect. Thanks.
Sydney Morning Herald has it confirmed.
But you're saying they've issued a notice just...
Basically, they've said that unplanned military activity related to ensuring state security, Flight Radar suggested there's some Polish F-16s, some maybe
So that
US
means there's some NATO
F-35.
stuff up, yeah.
Yeah, at least there's a sortie in the air and they're checking things out.
And I think they closed the Rzeszów airport, which is the next largest airport, which is near to I don't know if we have a map up.
I mean, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and say, well, take it all with a grain of salt. Sydney Morning Herald, as well as The Sun, are now confirming it. NATO jets scrambled after Ukrainian Air Force is warning over Russian drones.
Yeah.
But just to clarify, Ukraine confirmed it, and other outlets are saying NATO is scrambling. So we don't know. So I'll put it like this. It appears confirmed that NATO is actually activating Air Force
Yeah, but
we
that
don't
doesn't-
know that Russia actually did this.
Yeah,
that-
these forces have been activated on Ukraine's word.
I'm gonna just go ahead and say though, I think it's more likely that there's some legitimate intelligence that Russia has done this than there isn't. I don't think NATO just willy-nilly says, "What's that, Ukraine? We'll take your word for it. Launch the Air Force." I think they've got actionable intelligence.
It's such a weird time to do this because, as we've seen in videos the last couple of days, and I know you've been sharing a lot of this, people in the Polish parliament have been beating their chest, burning the EU flag, wiping their muddy shoes with it. I mean, this is when Poland is beating the most nationalist chest it has in a very long time. And to do that kind of a, 3 of these particular class of drones into Polish territory. Again, I'm just saying from a distance and from individuals that I have sources in the region, it looks like people are coming to sweep in and investigate, but what a weird time to poke Poland.
I don't see any benefit for Russia to do that. I mean, I'm not.
Kalachkis, probably.
What?
Kalachkis, Polish, they're like a pastry, right?
Oh,
A little
yeah.
meat in the
I
end.
mean,
Kalachkis?
not that I have any kind of like inside knowledge or anything, but it doesn't seem that like there's any upside for Russia to do this at all.
No.
They've got the attention of most of the Western world. They don't want to get NATO involved in the Ukraine war at all because right now they're in a very good position in NATO. They like Donald Trump likes to say, they're the ones holding all the cards. So it doesn't make any sense to me, but I'm not
Yeah,
an expert.
But you don't know. We don't know the finer details of what Russia has to benefit from this. It on the surface, we just don't know.
So Tim, this is what I was going to say. So Rzeszów, the airport there, which is like the closest airport in southeastern Poland to the Ukrainian border, that is the key entry point of NATO armaments, weapons, ammunition going into Ukraine.
Like holding the pass kind of a situation?
So it's sort of like it basically, if you shut down that airport, you shut down the flow of NATO weapons to Ukraine, because
logistics
that is the key hub of all. So every time, so I've been to Rzeszów twice this year, and every time I'm there, you just see Italian aircraft, cargo planes, U.S., Spain, I think Netherlands, whoever just happens to be there. It's like all of NATO aircraft are there at that airport, and it's so you could really shut down the supply lines. Now, again, I'm not saying that's what this is, but I know that's an absolutely key hub because it's just across. It's the largest airport just across the border from Lviv.
Well, I think it's important to point out that Vladimir Putin is just a one-dimensional comic book villain. And he would do this while twirling his mustache simply because, and we should absolutely believe whatever it is Ukraine says because they're the good guys and they do everything right.
I heard he did this while he was harvesting organs.
Yeah.
Was he polishing
With
his
G, right? With
monocle,
G?
or was this after he
Doing that
polished his
together?
monocle?
After. Whoa. Yep. Whoa. And then his servant came in and gave him a new one on a pillow.
By the way, I do want to point out that artificially messing with GPS to send drones in is literally the plot of the best Pierce Brosnan James Bond movie.
Is it?
Yeah.
How about that? Okay.
Well, I mean, look, if Russia wants to play, if this did happen, and Russia actually is flying drones close enough to the Polish border, then they're
Which they have before.
right. They're asking for trouble right away because you don't even need to make the argument that Ukraine's going to use technology to do it. The drones could just accidentally do it too close to the border, and then Russia's got to answer for that. So I don't want to be involved in these foreign wars. I like when our Department of War, isn't that funny, is actually focused on our borders, our people. Man, isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it's been going well for us, I think.
Indeed.
know?
And so I would just say, Russia, back the F off from NATO countries. Don't make there are anti-war people in the United States that don't want to be involved in whatever's going on. And if Russia is playing fast and loose on NATO borders, it's going to force this country to get involved. And I don't want that.
Yeah, and Trump doesn't want that. Trump just wants this war to come to an end. He doesn't want America dragged into it at all. He's been working so hard on this. And meanwhile, you have Putin and Zelensky who don't seem at all interested in bringing an end to this thing.
It's also, by the way, and since we're throwing out the fog of war stuff, it's also entirely possible, and this is why you really have to go to like high fidelity radar, and you really have to dig in on this stuff, because it's entirely possible that drones never crossed into Poland and it was just a false reading, and that it was an attack on the Ukrainian side, and yet they got some reading that they were pinging on the Polish side, but this is a very small area. It's almost like talking about the border between like Maryland and West Virginia and Virginia, where they're all sort of compacted together in the Harpers Ferry area. And oh my gosh, something's here, something's there, but you're looking on signals. These are prone to potential error. And, that's why, by the way, you would send up an air task force, because you want to get higher fidelity readings on whatever's up there. And you can do that if you've got an AWACS craft or something up there that's actually tracking this in real time.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because this actually kind of ties into one of the reasons the United States has deployed F-35s to Puerto Rico. F-35s are not just used in close air support and strike packages. They are excellent reconnaissance vehicles.
Oh, yeah.
And so one of the reasons that I think it's quite nice that a U.S. Air Force...
the multi-mission.
Bingo.
Yeah.
The multi-mission part of the craft is that it can fly in and say, I hear rumors of whatever. The president is currently enjoying a delicious seafood dinner. Let me see how real this is at the moment.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.